Okay, guys, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk to the Entities, a taste of Talk to the Entities. My name is Amy Shine, and I'm an Access Consciousness facilitator. I'm also a Talk to the Entity facilitator. And tonight's it's just a little taster into what is Talk to the Entities. Some of you may be experienced in the work of Talk to the Entities and of Access. So Talk to the Entities is a class that is part of the Access Consciousness classes. Some of you, I know, have already taken lots of Access Consciousness classes. Some of you may even have taken Talk to the Entity classes already. Some of you may not have taken any Talk to the Entity classes, and some of you may not even know anything about Talk to the Entities or Access. So I invite you to ask some questions tonight. We're going to keep it probably, to 30 to 40 minutes, and we'll see what we can get through in that time as well. Talk to the Entities is created by Shannon O'Hara. Shannon O'Hara is Gary Douglas's daughter, and she has created the bodywork of Talk to the Entities. If you haven't read Talk to the Entities, the book that she wrote, it's a really great book to get started with. I actually had it and I read it, and then I reread it just recently. I reread it like years later, and I realized I had like missed half of what was in the book. So there's a lot of gems in that book. Highly suggest starting with that book. And then after you read Talk to the Entities, she has a new book out called Beings of Light, which is absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful book. I will forward you in the follow-up email. I'll provide a link to those. But that's really to get started. And so like Talk to the Entities is about creating more consciousness and awareness around entities, ghosts, spirits, and the way we can interact and communicate with them. So there is like this big world of spirits and entities and ghosts, whatever you want to call them. And if we're asking to have total awareness and we're asking to have more consciousness, we have to also start acknowledging all the energies and entities that are around us that are asking to be communicated with, that are trying to communicate with us. And I just read a quote, or I listened to Shannon yesterday, and she said, there is spirits all around us, and us not seeing them is a sickness. And one of the things that really resonated for me with that was that when I wasn't acknowledging entities and my entity awareness, I was sick. It was showing up as sickness in the way that it was showing up like anxiety, palpitating heart, anger, like bouts of just frustration. And so this is 7 years into my journey with Access Consciousness. I was still having these things show up, even though I knew about the work, Talk to the Entities, even though I had all the tools, even though I had taken a lot of the classes, I wasn't using the tools. I wasn't using the basic tools. Some of the basic tools you get for communicating and clearing entities. Well, first off, clearing entities, you get it in the foundation class. So if you've taken Access Bars and Foundation, you already have that beginning tools to start clearing entities. And I wasn't using it. I was using it sometimes when things got really, really desperate. I would use that clearing the entities. But I wasn't using it as regularly as I really should have been with the amount of awareness I had. So entity awareness was showing up for me with my body, with indigestion, with itchy skin, with, like I said, heart palpitations, anxiety, all this stuff. And I was trying to fix it from what's wrong with me, how do I fix this? And not actually using my tools. So everything you have done to cut off, suppress, depress your awareness with entities, can you destroy and uncreate them all now, please? Yeah, right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pock, on his shirts, boys, me on. So that's the Access Consciousness clearing statement. And that is just designed to undo the places where we have made ourselves unaware, where we've cut off our awareness. So with the with the cutting off our awareness, sorry, does someone have a question? We're okay. So let me backtrack a bit. So what is an entity, right? An entity is something that is defined. It's a defined thing. So you're an entity, I'm an entity, this computer is an entity, the building you're in right now is an entity. And then we have entities that don't have bodies. But because we can't physically see them, do we then decide they're not there? Or do we ignore that? So where have you made physical sight more significant and more real than your awareness? Oh, so everything that is, can we destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, on shorts, boys and beyonds. One of the things that I found with my journey in talking to entities is that I kept expecting that I was going to see them. Like I was if I acknowledge my awareness with entities, then I'm going to see them, and it's actually not like that. Awareness is like subtle, and entity awareness is also sometimes can be subtle, and then if you ignore them long enough, it can get loud. But that's why I'm saying it showed up from my body in physical ways, and heart palpitation. It wasn't like I was seeing entities everywhere. It wasn't like I was seeing ghosts. But how much, when you watched movies and growing up in your culture or TV or books, how much do you buy that entity awareness is seeing ghosts? So everything you've bought from TV, movies, books, culture, religion around entities and ghosts, and all the lies you bought, and everything you bought is real and true. And everywhere you killed your awareness to make that reality more real than what you know is true, can we destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, on shorts, boys and meows. So what have you defined and decided entities are that they're not? Everything that is, can we destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, on shorts, boys and meows. What have you defined and decided entities aren't that they are? Well, everything that is times a gazillion, can we destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, on shorts, boys and meows. So like I decided, well, if I'm going to talk to entities, I'm going to see them, right? That's a definition, that's a conclusion. So then, the entities try to talk to me, but I don't, because I can't see them, it's not really, I'm ignoring it. So I'm like going about my day, ignoring the fact that like my brother's trying to talk to me, or my grandfather, or, my friend's grandmother, or my husband's grandmother is trying to talk to me. And I'm going about my day, and then they're like trying to talk to me, but because I can't see them, like, the way it was portrayed in movies, and I keep going and keep going, and I keep putting up these walls, then I create the sickness. Then my body starts heart palpitating, or anxiety, or frustration, because my body's like trying to give me the awareness, and at the same time, whoever is trying to talk to me that doesn't have a body, but I'm so defined in that, well, if I'm talking to entities, I'm going to see them. I'm going to see a glimpse of my grandmother or whoever it is that's trying to talk to me. So that is a definition. So would you be willing to destroy and uncreate all your definitions of what talking to the entities is? Whew, right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pock, on shorts, boys and beyonds. And one of the things Shannon talks about a lot is that like you don't really realize how much we've been programmed from movies and TV and shows about ghosts. Because I never knew. I don't even remember watching much about it growing up, but somewhere that programming was instilled in me. And so when it came to actually getting more aware and talking to entities, I realized, wow, I have so many conclusions around how this should show up, rather than it could be a whisper, it could be a subtle awareness. And so this is also going to require you to trust you, to trust your awareness, and to trust that you actually know. Because one of the things that comes up a lot too when you start to talk to entities is that you'll start to doubt yourself. You'll start to think you're crazy. You'll start to say, oh, I'm crazy. I'm just making this up. And this is where, you know, if you've taken the foundation class, you know, doubt is a distractor implant. Doubt stops you from, takes you out of your knowing. And then the other distractor implant is fear. Fear is a lie. Underneath fear is potency. Again, fear is a distractor implant. So fear takes you away from your potency. So fear and doubt, two things we use to like kill our awareness. So how many of you are afraid of entities? Truth. Not really. A couple of you say you are. Okay. So what is it? Does anyone want to talk to me for a second? Let me know what the fear is.
I would.
Yeah.
Hi, Amy.
Hey, love.
So I was like almost ready to take the entities course about a year ago. And then I'm over here in Sarasota, and I don't know if any of you know Tiffany Thiem, but I was over at her house and she was running my bars, and she had just taken the entity course. So we were talking about it. And so she had done, she like gave me a couple of tools from the class basically. And we played with those. And then I went home, went to bed that night. And I'm a healer as well. So once in a while, I'll like work with people in the dream state. And it's like, there's like this very thin veil in between, you know what I mean? So anyway, I go to bed that night and I wake up in the middle of the night with this entity. And I mean, I sat straight up. I won't go through the whole story, but I had to like yell at this thing to get out of my room, and it scared the shit out of me.
Okay.
I had to get up and like, hug my cat and everything. So it like turned me off from the course.
All right. But so was that an entity or a demon? Truth.
It could have been a demon. It was like this banshee thing.
Okay. So what's lighter, entity or demon?
Probably demon.
Demon. Okay. Can you just say it was a demon?
It was a demon.
Because even in that, you're like, probably was a demon. Maybe, like, you know, like claim, own, and acknowledge. You fucking know that was a demon, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, that was a demon. So you've taken the Access Foundation class, right?
I did. Yeah. And after I woke up that night, I had to call Cassie Summers and like do a session with her because I was so freaked out.
Okay. But what do we do with demons? We have the demon clearing.
Yeah.
So any of you who don't know, we have a demon clearing. It's from Access Consciousness. It is so fucking powerful. When that energy comes up, like it came up for Jennifer, the energy in her room, it was in her face. She couldn't sleep. She was disturbed. The demon clearing. Return to whence you came from. Never return to me, my body, this reality ever again. So even right now, repeat it after me. Return to whence you came from. Never return to me, my body, and this reality ever again. Return to whence you came from. Never return to me, my body, and this reality ever again. Return to whence you came from. Never return to me, my body, and this reality ever again. Return to whence you came from. Never return to me, my body, and this reality ever again. Return to whence you come from. Never return to me, my body, and this reality ever again. And if you want to expand out, right? When you do this clearing, be bigger than the energy that's in your face. So you know, you're in bed, this energy came in, it came in to try and get power over you, right? But you have a body. Are you more powerful, or is this thing without a body more powerful?
Me.
You. So you're like, I'm the fucking most powerful being there is. And expand out and be that, like, know that you're more powerful. Nothing can hurt you. Nothing can harm you. And then be that energy. Return to whence you came from. Never return to me, my body, in this reality ever again. Return to whence you came from. Never return to me, my body, in this reality ever again. And that energy of like, don't make it significant, Dieter, because if you make it significant, then this energy has power over you. Is there demons on the planet? Yes, there is. But but the thing about it is, like, if you go into fear or you go into distractor implant, then they can have power over you, and then they can feed into your thoughts. But if you're willing to be like, okay, nice try, get out of my room, return to whence you came from, never return to me, my body, this reality ever again, and know that, like, actually you're the most powerful being there is, then nothing can control you. Nothing can own you. And it sounded like you did do that. You
Yeah.
were like, get the fuck out, you know? And then you may just need to run that return to whence, and you have to say it in those words, and you have to say it in English. Return to whence you came from, never return to me, my body, and this reality ever again. And even notice as I'm saying it right now, is the energy starting to get lighter around you.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, return to whence you came from, never return to me, my body, and this reality ever again. Return to whence you came from, and never return to me, my body, and this reality ever again. Return to whence you came from, never return to me, my body, and this reality ever again. Return to whence you came from, and never return to me, my body, and this reality ever again. And then, since you were just about to take a talk to the entity class, was this a demon that you had hired or someone else had hired, so that you, and put in place so that you would never claim, own, and acknowledge your capacities and your magic and your abilities with entities and with the spirit world?
It seems like something that someone else hired.
Okay, so everything that someone else put in place to make sure you would never claim, own, and acknowledge your unique capacities and abilities with the spirit world, can we destroy and uncreate it?
Mm-hmm.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, honest shirts, boys and beyonds, and everything that you aligned and agreed with and resisted and reacted to that allow that to be implanted, can we destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, honest shirts, boys, beyonds, and then are you willing to keep going and choose beyond it?
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things I'm finding with this journey is that, like, the more I'm saying yes to talking to entities and actually claiming what I know, the more magic is opening up in my world. The more I'm like, wow, like it's like this whole world of that was always here, but that I wasn't seeing. You know, like even just before this call, like I went and stood outside my door, which I sat outside my front how many times, right? Like a million times already. But like I stood outside there and it was like this little bird flew over and just like flew kind of like set on, you know, one of the power lines. And like I was so present with him. Whereas before I could stand there and probably not even notice that bird. So it's like nature is becoming more alive. Like this whole, like everything is becoming a lot, like everything's starting to, because when you talk to the entities, you're talking to all entities. Yeah, do you have to deal with some heavy, maybe some demons sometimes? Yeah, but you have the tools. Return to whence you come from, never return to me, my body, and this reality ever again. Clears it like that if you don't make it significant. So, you know, when you ask for total awareness, right, you become aware of everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. But the benefit of all that is this world of magic becomes available. And it's going to be
Hi.
unique to you. Hi.
Hey, can you please talk about being made wrong for awareness about the spirit world?
Yeah. Can you ask a
Yeah,
question?
yeah. Like my whole life, I've been like extremely aware of entities, and I wasn't afraid of them, or I was actually willing to have that awareness and communicate with them until becoming like a young adult and starting to buy everybody's reality and lies. And I have also been like made extremely wrong for just being aware, not even like talking about my awareness, or here's what I do, or here's what I heard, or here's what I saw, or here's what I communicated, whom just made wrong for being aware of that to the point where I gave it all up and created so much shit in my life to do so. And I'd like to kind of change that. So can you please address that, please?
Choice, babe. You just got to choose it, you know? Like you just got to look at, okay, everywhere I'm making other people's realities more real, more true, and more relevant than mine, will you destroy and uncreate them?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, wrong, good, bad, papak, undershirts, boys, meands. And everywhere you give up your awareness of entities to validate someone else's reality, can you destroy and uncreate it?
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, undershirts, boys, meands. Like maybe you were a kid and you had these capacities to talk to entities. Like how many of you, I didn't have any imaginary friends. Actually, I did. I had loads of spirit
Yeah.
friends when I was a kid, but I didn't ever come home and tell my mother I had an imaginary friend, but my sister did, you know. And like, so how much as a child, when you're a kid and you have all these magic abilities and you're talking to spirits and there is no separation between you and the spirit world because you have that oneness in your world as a child, how much does that scare the shit out of your mother or your father? And so you cut off your awareness to validate their reality of what reality is.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's like, okay, I did that. Now I'm here. Now what else would I like to choose? And so I really just invite you to start communicating again with them, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, I also got the awareness of like, they can't communicate with them, or they can and they choose not to. Therefore, you can't either, because you can't be greater or bigger than them, because they're your family, they're your parents.
Where are you
That
from?
shit. Algeria.
Algeria? Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, that's interesting point of view. I have that point of view.
from the point of
Like,
view.
yeah, interesting
Exactly.
point of view. I have that point of view. Return to sender, and it's like, okay, you can keep making their reality and your family more real and true, or more significant than what you know. And how's that working for you? Is that actually creating your life? How's your financial reality? How are your relationships? How's your body doing? Because, you know, like the thing about it is like, if you're not acknowledging your awareness with entities, it's going to show up somewhere. It's going to show up
Yeah.
in physical stuff. It might show up in financial stuff. It might show up in relationship stuff. So it's like, okay, do I want to go down that road? Because why? I don't want to be the weird one in my family. You don't have to tell them you're talking to entities. You know, just for me,
And
just for fun, don't tell anyone.
yeah, and the thing is, it shows in my life. I used to be the person like who always has money. Like I used to be the person like has a joy. I had a joyful body, joyful life, joyful. Everything came to me with ease, joy, and glory until I started. I chose to start listening to them and to, you know what? Maybe I'm too weird. Maybe I should be more real. But what I'm coming to realize is I'm always gonna be the weird one. I'm always gonna be the bitch. I'm always gonna be wrong. So I might as well have my reality, my awareness, my ease, joy, and glory, and be weird and be wrong.
Yeah, and have the money and have the magic and have all of it.
Yeah.
And you will also be an invitation for some people to choose it too. When you choose
Yeah.
it, and choose it. And then other people won't, and it's not relevant. Okay, so
Yeah.
That just gave me goosebumps. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you so much for this contribution.
Oh, thank you. So just start playing with the tools again, Malik, you know?
Yeah.
Start being weird and do it just for you, you know? Talk to the plants.
Yeah.
Go out and, you know,
Yes.
do you, and like you don't have to let your family know, you know, when you're around them, you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
let them know. But you also don't have to stop cutting it off for you anymore. So, okay, Amy K said, can you take the Talk to the Entities class, but then focus on the type of entities you want to connect with? Or do you have to just accept and work with them all? She's funny. That's a funny question. Oh, God. She's like, I want selective entity awareness. So, Amy, I would say you gotta no. You can't. Like, well, first off, accept. Like, that's the word that jumped out. Like, accept is like like you're having to do something. You're trying to accept something that you don't want to accept. Like, what if you asked for allowance? Um, and I would also look at, what have you decided working with entities is that it isn't. Everything that is, will you destroy and create it? Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, corner shirts, boys and mans. And what have you decided working with entities isn't that it is? Will you just try and create all that? Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, pop, corner shirts, boys and mans. And what if all of entity awareness and entity communication could be ease and joy and glory? And Amy, communicating with entities and, you know, setting office hours and doing all that, that's something we get more into in the 2-day class. It sounds like you already took it. So maybe go back and read your manual. There's a lot of information in there. And you may get some more awareness when you go back to that manual. Then Tracy Payne, Payan, sorry, I'm probably pronouncing your last name wrong. How do you know what kind of entity it is? E.g., someone who passed over, or saying a demon. Okay, well, with Jennifer, she knew, like, the demon is, like, demons are always going to be, like, real heavy, like, feels like something's, like, trying to kill you or suffocate you or in your face or angry, or, like, demon is, like, you get it. A demon energy is, like, very kind of, like, very, can be a lot, like, and so she got the energy because she was asleep too as well, so it's like easier sometimes for entities to communicate with you while you sleep, because if you're ignoring them during the day, when you go to bed at night, your barriers are down, they can get in a bit more. So if you've trouble sleeping, it might be because you have having a lot of entity awareness during the day that you're not dealing with. You need to start dealing with it during the day so you're not disturbed at night. So back to your question, that was a side note. What kind of entity it is, you just got to ask, and you just got to start trusting that the awareness you get will be the first thing. The first thing that pops into your head is usually the awareness. Everything after that is usually you trying to head fuck yourself into thinking you don't know what you know. Okay?
Cool, thanks, Amy.
And you also have to start trusting yourself as well. Like, the amount of times, like, I'd be in a session or something, and, like, I would get an awareness of an entity talking to me, and I would ask, who is it? And then it was the person's grandmother or something, and I'd be like, oh, really? Is it really? Like, because I'd start being like, this is so, like, it's funny, like, one of the things with entities is that you find when you start communicating a lot with entities is that a lot of, like, there is different types of entities, and we do get into that more in the 2-day class, and you get a manual and you get all the different descriptions of different entities. But with family members and grandmothers and all that stuff, a lot of times they just want to say hi, or they just want to say, I'm sorry, or I love you, or I miss, like different things. They want to check in on you or check in on their loved ones. So it's not like, it's kind of pretty simple, really. And like that, and one of the biggest misconceptions about entities is that, like, that when they die, they become this, like, massive, powerful being. And no, whoever they were when they had a body is usually who they are even after they leave a body, a lot of the time. So don't be surprised if it's just, like a grandmother telling you she loves her grandson or something, like, don't dismiss it. Because a lot of times, it's just a lot of the stuff they want little messages they want to pass on. Okay. Do you ask? Yes, fear is a real. Okay. Karen, and if anybody wants to come off mute and ask a question, you can. Okay, I'm not sure if there's any more questions here.
Amy, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Maybe a couple. Do X-Men have different capacities with entities, or how does that work? Is that covered in the 2-day?
I would just ask your way, like, because, like, it's just more like what's unique for you, your way of communicating with entities may be very different. Mm-hmm. So you got to just start asking, like, what do I know about communicating and clearing and perceiving and receiving from all entities that nobody else knows? And what is unique for you? Because even in me talking about, like, how entity awareness showed up as sickness in my body when I wasn't acknowledging the amount of entity awareness I had, like, that is how it showed up for me. But, like, for someone else, it could be like, depression or sleeping all day or insomnia, so, or for someone else, it could be overeating. That's another thing I realized too after a while. I was like, I think there's an entity telling me to eat chocolate every night. Because, I like chocolate. So it's like, it's easy to go to me. Like, it's kind of like if you like alcohol, it's easy for the entities to go to you and be like, drink, 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 because you like drinking, But like, I love chocolate. But sometimes I didn't want chocolate. And I'm like, oh, I need to go get chocolate. I'm like, who is that? Is that really me? It's like, I think there's an entity telling me to eat chocolate. So
Cool.
Sometimes,
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, you're just going to have to discover it. So the talk to the entities is really like, there's such a depth to the work, but it's really going to have to be you starting to use the tools that you have right now. And some of you will have more tools than others, and just use the tools that you have right now. And for some of you, maybe just acknowledging you're even aware of entities. And for some of you, maybe actually to start clearing entities. And for some of you who might have already done some more classes, and maybe to start communicating more. But you can ask when entities show up, okay, are they asking to be cleared? Are they asking to communicate something to me? And or are they looking for me to receive? So there's 3 things entities want: clear, communicate, receive. 3 things. And we get it more into that in the 2.5 day class. But for tonight, we can start with the clearing. So, I'll get to your question after that, Reba. That's a great question. Okay, so right now, just relax into your body. Take a deep inhale and then expand out. Okay, so how many is there entities around you right now that are being asking to be cleared? And if you get it expansive, it's a yes. If you get no, it's a no. All right, but there probably is entities around you. So any entities that are around you right now that have attached to you or that have come to you to be cleared, or all entities on this call, Truth, can we ask them first, Truth, do you know that you're dead? A lot of entities don't know they've died. So sometimes that's just enough. Truth, do you realize you've died and you don't have a body? And like about 3/4 of them were able to leave, half of them. Okay, so they're gone. Now we have the other half. Okay, so Truth entities, what is your names? Truth, what is your names before that? What is your names before that? What was 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 your names before that? What your names be in the future. So you might start yawning, your body might start breathing differently. That's the energy shifting. Truth entities, what is your jobs? What was your jobs before that? 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 Will your jobs be in the future? What's the purpose of being here? Who you before you came here? Who you before that? Who you before that? Who will you be in the future? Your jobs are done now. You don't have to be here anymore. You can leave. You can go to consciousness. You can go get another body. You have lots of different choices. Thank you. You can go. Take all your magnetic imprinting. Take all your baggage. Thank you. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, on in shorts, boys me hands. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, on in shorts, boys me hands. Okay, take it up, another inhale into your body. Sense how your body is now, how your space is now. More space, less space, more space for some of you. And it's that easy. That's clearing entities. So you can start with that too, clearing entities. You can start that every night. You could just do it every night before you go to bed, or you could do it in the morning. You can stop throughout the day. And if you start to get, awarenesses throughout the day, just ask, is this an entity? Can I clear it? And then you can clear it. And like, even those, like, for me, so when you say entity, what is your name? And then you're saying, what is your name before that? What was your name before that? What was your name before that? You're taking them back in time so they know they've been here before and they've had other lifetimes. Then while your name being the future, that they actually have a choice. They can create something different. What is your job? Because some of them, like maybe your grandmother decided she needed to take care of you forever, or some of them, like, their job was to take care of the house, and so they're stuck to houses. So it's like, what is your job? What is your job before that? What was your job before that? You're showing them all the different jobs they've had in all different lifetimes, and then what your job be in the future, so they know they can choose something else. You're basically giving them awareness of choice. And a lot of times, like, you'd be so surprised, like, you think, because this is like one of the biggest misconceptions about entity world, is that they have all this information that we don't have, when actual fact, you may have to have a way more information than them, and you're actually facilitating them to move on. Like, even the amount of entities that just came in there that didn't know they were dead. It's like, that's another quick one. Do you realize you're dead and you don't have a body? And then they go, oh shit, okay, thanks. And then they can move on, you know? So it's really, it's entity awareness. It's creating awareness for them. And then how much space that creates in your world so that you have more space, more ease, more joy, more glory is incredible. So I really invite you to start with the clearing the entities if you're not doing that on a daily basis. Okay, any other questions? Riva has a question. Do entities put pictures in our head? Yes. Yes, they can. And that would address Tracy's X-Men question too. Entities don't communicate, and we get more into this in the 2-day class too, but entities don't communicate like people, because time isn't real in an entity's world anymore. They don't have time and they don't have physical reality. So when they talk to you, you might need to ask them to slow down or give it to you in a way that you can receive. You can also ask them to stand back from you because they have no spatial awareness. When you began the clearing, my son was in the other room. He ran and sat behind of me. I was fine, but since he is here, I began yawning. He needed the clearing. Yeah, maybe the whole house needed the clearing. Amazing. So any questions about that? Any questions about the clearing?
Can I ask something?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hello. Like, when you talk about like entities, like when every time I didn't take any classes, but when I look at this area, like my body is getting so relaxed, and like actually like it's getting so relaxed, and I truly like it. And at the same time, like when I try to, like, I don't know, like, and I perceive some energy, or I start to be aware of something, I directly go to back to my mind and try to understand what's going on, and it's like stop everything's going. So like I'm not sure is there any question here, but like it's kind of weird thing, like how can I just not make it so significant, but like be present with it? Like,
Well, your mind is always a barrier. So if you're thinking, you're using your mind as a barrier. So you just it's just going to be a muscle. You're just going to have to start practicing. Have you taken the Access Bars class yet?
yeah.
You have? Okay, cool. Have you taken Foundation?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just a practice. It's a muscle, you know, of getting present and not checking out and not using barriers. So you could even just start with, like, before you know, do a clearing, or even like if you, because how much, like even right now, how many walls and barriers do all of us have up?
Yeah.
A lot, right? So it's like, it might be just maybe it's, you put it on a posted Burke, you know, around your house or something, lower my walls, lower my barriers, and then ask a question, you know, because it's like, or even like you're just going to build the muscle of, like, when you start clearing entities, you'll get distracted or you'll start thinking about something else. That's your wall. That's your barrier. You know, that's coming in, your mind's coming in to distract you and take you out of that. So, yeah, presence is something that takes practice, really. And so lower your walls, lower your barriers, and you're going to have to keep doing that, I mean, maybe 1,000 times throughout the day, because how many times when energies come in, we don't want to deal with them. We put our walls and barriers up, and then we go into our mind and we start thinking, or we start worrying, or our body starts hurting. You start to get more relaxed on this call because we're actually starting to take our walls and barriers down and acknowledge what we're aware of. You get off the call, you start cleaning the house, the kids start wanting to do things, like, you know, all your, like, you must to-do lists, and your walls come up. So it's just catching yourself throughout the day. Oh, melt my walls, melt my barriers.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. We're going to start wrapping it up now. Can entities talk to you in dreams? Yeah, if, like I said, if you're not dealing with your entity awareness throughout the day, they will come to you in your dreams. Can they give you info of other lives? Yeah, maybe. Just don't make it significant. And nobody knows more about what's true and real for you than you. So don't buy anything an entity says to you as real and true. Just because an entity says something to you, or an angel or an archangel, does not mean it's true. Always, anyone who's looking to empower you will ask you a question. Anyone who's telling you something is not looking to empower you. So, and nobody knows what's true for you, only you. Can entities take energy away and promote laziness, anxiety, and exaggerated eating habits? No. What creates that is denying your entity awareness and not dealing with your awareness throughout the day. Okay, so entities cannot do anything to you. You are the most powerful being there is. You create all the crap in your life because you don't want to be aware. So what would you be willing to claim, own, and acknowledge? All your awareness, all your magic, all your miracles, all the possibilities you have available to you, and everything that's unique to you, and everything that's so different for you that nobody else will get. Would you just claim, own, and acknowledge it now, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nice shirts, boys and beyonds, and just start exploring, you know? Start exploring with the tools. You have some of the tools from tonight, and you know, if you've taken some classes with Access, use the tools and start playing with them and see what shows up. All right, guys, thank you so much. This was just like a taster. I am going to do an online Talk to Deities introduction class. That's going to be 2 hours. I have the date, I can't remember. It's going to be in 2 weeks' time. It's going to be online, 2 hours. So we'll go more in depth into the tools, and then you can, that's a prereq to take the 2-day Talk to the Entity beginning class. All right, so I'll send you the recording as well so you can listen back to this and play, have fun with it, start clearing entities, start creating space for you in your body, melt your walls, melt your barriers, and start seeing what how much more ease you can have with all of it. So thanks.
Thank you.